So Donald Trump announced that he's going to throw his hat in the ring to be the presidential nominee for the Republican Party. And I have to admit that before I listened to his announcement, I was extremely skeptical. I thought, oh, he's just doing this for a PR boost. He's a showman and impresario. This is probably just to get some celebrity, some publicity to promote his next book, his next TV show, his next reality show. And so I have to tell you, I was very skeptical. But then I watched his speech, and before you knew it, I was thinking, you know, he's got a good point there, and I wish the other guys could say that. I want to take you through about 5 or 10 little clips from his speech. So this is going to be about a 10 or 15-minute video, but I promise you, you will find what he says refreshing and maybe even a little inspiring. I have to say, watching Donald Trump's announcement speech increased my respect for him and made me say, you know what? He probably wouldn't be a bad president. Here, let's start with his comments about when was the last time America was a winner? Take a listen.
Our country is in serious trouble. We don't have victories anymore. We used to have victories, but we don't have them. When was the last time anybody saw us beating, let's say, China in a trade deal? They kill us. I beat China all the time. All the time. When did we beat Japan at anything? They send their cars over by the millions. And what do? When was the last time you saw a Chevrolet in Tokyo? It doesn't exist, folks. They beat us all the time. When do we beat Mexico at the border? They're laughing at us, at our stupidity. And now they're beating us economically. They are not our friend, believe me. But they're killing us economically.
I mean, Donald Trump's got a style. You think, well, that's braggadocio. He's just saying he's a winner. He's a winner. The other guys are losers. But, you know, in many interactions between countries, there is a winner and a loser. And I think he's put his finger on it. Where is America riding tall in the saddle, like under the Reagan years? Where is America winning? You don't even hear the desire for America to be number one in Obama or Hillary Clinton. He also did something I think a lot of professional politicians are shy about. He talked about illegal immigration from Mexico without worrying about being politically incorrect. Here, listen to him take a very hard line on this.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. But I speak to border guards, and they tell us what we're getting. And it only makes common sense. It only makes common sense. They're sending us not the right people. It's coming from more than Mexico. It's coming from all over South and Latin America, and it's coming probably from the Middle East. But we don't know, because we have no protection, and we have no competence. We don't know what's happening. And it's got to stop, and it's got to stop fast.
It takes some courage to say that, but I have to say it is actually a progressive position to be against illegal immigration. I mean, first of all, America has a ton of legal immigration. It's not like America is against immigrants, but as he points out, these people sneaking across the border from Mexico are not the world's most attractive immigrants. But if you care about poor people, why would you bring in untrained, unskilled, uneducated competitors to compete against your American citizens who have to pay taxes? Not only does it drive down labor costs, but maybe it drives up housing costs. I think that Donald Trump just doesn't have the politically correct BS of everyone who tiptoes around that subject. Here's another quote that I really thought was just plain old common sense on foreign policy. When I think of Donald Trump, I don't think foreign policy, but listen to him to talk about how we frittered away our hard-won victory, or Americans' hard-won victory in Iraq. Take a listen to this.
Iran is taking over Iraq, and they're taking it over big league. We spent $2 trillion in Iraq. $2 trillion. We lost thousands of lives, thousands in Iraq. We have wounded soldiers who I love, I love. They're great. All over the place. Thousands and thousands of wounded soldiers. And we have nothing. We can't even go there. We have nothing. And every time we give Iraq equipment, the first time a bullet goes off in the air, they leave it. Last week I read 2,300 Humvees. These are big vehicles were left behind for the enemy. 2,000, you would say maybe two, maybe four? 2,300 sophisticated vehicles they ran, and the enemy took them.
He's right. And it's awful because Barack Obama pulled out the troops precipitously. Now the Iraqis abandon their positions at the first whiff of gunpowder. Things are actually worse there now. It's the amount of blood and treasure that is being spent. Donald Trump says it more clearly than many foreign policy experts. I have to say, I was watching the speech, I was liking it more and more. But I think maybe the most important thing he said was just a general comment on himself and his personality and style versus Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Do you love America? Are you a booster? Are you a cheerleader? Because that's sort of what Donald Trump is. I mean, he makes deals, but he's a high-level guy. I don't think these days he gets right into the minutia of it. But he has a momentum and a confidence, and he points out that America lacks it. Listen to what he says he thought Barack Obama would be like in 2008 versus what Obama has been like. Take a listen.
You know, when President Obama was elected, I said, well, the one thing I think he'll do well, I think he'll be a great cheerleader for the country. I think he'd be a great spirit. He was vibrant. He was young. I really thought that he would be a great cheerleader. He's not a leader, that's true. You're right about that. But he wasn't a cheerleader. He's actually a negative force. He's been a negative force. He wasn't a cheerleader. He was the opposite.
I think that's very perceptive. Maybe it's so obvious, but just coming out and saying, when was the last time Barack Obama said America is the best, we're the greatest? And as a Canadian, obviously, I feel that Canada is the best country, but every country should have some pride and some nationalism. And in the United States, it's important to all the rest of us in the free world that America has a pride and a greatness, because frankly, they are the engine of freedom. They are the engine that protects us, and they're the engine of a lot of our prosperity. Now, Donald Trump started talking about the elephant in the room, his style, his lavish and opulent lifestyle, his money. And this has been an Achilles heel for the Republicans as recently as the last election, when Mitt Romney, a man who made hundreds of millions of dollars as an entrepreneur, was painted as a rich Wall Street guy. Of course, he was a rich Wall Street guy. He earned it, though, unlike, say, Hillary Clinton, who billed out speeches for $250,000 a pop to foreign countries who got favors from the Secretary of State. Here's how Donald Trump takes on that issue. He doesn't hide. He's not shy. He's not embarrassed. He leans into the wind and says, you think I'm rich? I'm even richer than you think. Here, take a listen.
So I have a total net worth, and now with the increase, it'll be well over $10 billion. But here, a total net worth of $8 billion. Net worth, not assets, not liability, a net worth. After all debt, after all expenses, the greatest assets, Trump Tower, 1290 Avenue of the Americas, Bank of America building in San Francisco, 40 Wall Street, sometimes referred to as the Trump building, right opposite the New York City, many other places, all over the world. So the total is $8,737,540,000. Now, I'm not doing that to brag, because you know what? I don't have to brag. I don't have to, believe it or not. I'm doing that to say that that's the kind of thinking our country needs.
And you know, he's got a point. The reason why people like Donald Trump, those who do, is because he made it. Yes, he was born into a wealthy family, but he added a bunch of zeros to it. And you can see him fighting every day. He had his ups and he had his downs, and he is a winner, a builder of wealth. All of America used to be that way. American dreams were about coming dirt poor to America, looking up at the skyscrapers when you arrived in New York City and saying, one day I'm going to own that, one day I'm going to build that. It's not about the, if you're poor, staying poor or being an entitled welfare case. Barack Obama has entrenched welfarism and entitleism. Donald Trump is saying, no, I'm rich, I'm richer than you think, I want to tell you how rich I am, and I want you to be the same way. Is it crass cheerleading? You could call it that. Or you could call it someone who hasn't forgotten the American dream and wants to inspire millions of others. I think America is missing a little bit of Donald Trump. I want to give you his summary comments. I mean, at the end of his speech, he just went through and checked a bunch of boxes. I got to tell you, he did a good job. You be the judge and tell me what you think. Take a listen.
Just to sum up, I would do various things very quickly. I would repeal and replace the big lie Obamacare. I would build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better than me, believe me. And I'll build them very inexpensively. I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. Mark my words. Nobody would be tougher on ISIS than Donald Trump. Nobody. I will find within our military, I will find the General Patton, or I will find General MacArthur. I will find the right guy. I will find the guy that's going to take that military and make it really work. Nobody will be pushing us around. I will stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons, and we won't be using a man like Secretary Kerry that has absolutely no concept of negotiation, who's making a horrible and laughable deal, who's just being tapped along as they make weapons right now, and then goes into a bicycle race at 72 years old and falls and breaks his leg. I won't be doing that. And I promise I will never be in a bicycle race, that I can tell you. I will immediately terminate President Obama's illegal executive order on immigration. Immediately. Fully support and back up the Second Amendment.
Imagine that, a New York City guy standing up for the Second Amendment. He's got a common sense. I think Donald Trump spends his life with real people. Yeah, sometimes with celebrities and tycoons and fashion models, but I think he actually gets out into the real world enough and interacts with real people much more than those inside the Beltway types. And his mocking of John Kerry's bicycle accident, I think it's right on point. Donald Trump is a hardball negotiator. He wrote a book on the subject. You could not do worse than Barack Obama in his negotiations with everyone from China to Iran. I don't think Donald Trump will become the nominee, but I think he taps into a vein of Americans saying, the America in 2016, 2015 is not the America that we're supposed to have. We need someone to make it great again. People who think that, they'll look at Donald Trump and say, I don't know if he's the man to govern, but he's certainly the man to cheerlead and to point the way. For TheRebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant.